What's up, guys? Hopefully all of you are doing well. Today I'm going to show you how to make a roux for gumbo. Based on some of the questions and feedback I got from our previous video, I decided to pull this particular step out and do it by itself so I can give a comfort level to the beginners. Now, those of you who are experienced, don't worry about it. I already know you're covered, but this is for beginners. Let's get into it. So a roux is basically equal parts of a fat and flour. And in the case of gumbo, typically we use an oil and flour. It could be your oil of choice. It could be a canola oil or a vegetable oil. Some use olive oil. It just so happens today I'm using grapeseed oil. That's my oil of choice. You want to stick with an oil that has a high burning point, and all of the ones that I've mentioned are appropriate for this particular recipe. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oil over medium-high heat in the pan, and that takes about 3 to 4 minutes. Just let it happen. Take a deep breath while you're doing this, because some of you I get nervous. No, don't get nervous. You are in control. Now, after you add the flour, just go ahead and use a whisk to quickly dissolve it and get it nice and combined with the oil. I have sped this video up, so I'm not stirring as fast as this is really showing. But I'm going to slow it down for you in a bit. But now what I'm doing, I've stopped stirring because I'm turning the heat down to medium, maybe even medium low. It depends on, your stove and how many BTUs you're working with, but turn it down to medium. And then as you can see, I already have some browning starting to happen, and that's because the flour has started to fall to the bottom. When you stop stirring, that flour starts to fall to the bottom of the pan and it's starting to brown. So get back in there and keep whisking. This is a task that you cannot walk away from. You need to stick around, give it a stir, and keep moving it around. So at this point, I've slowed the editing down so that you can see I go back and forth between a whisk and a metal spoon, or a whisk and a silicone spatula. The spatula is made of silicone. Silicone can stand high temperatures of heat. I think this one can stand up to maybe 500 degrees or so, or 550 degrees. So it's an appropriate tool for hot oil. All right, and you really don't want this splashing around on you. Don't touch it with your hand. You can get severely burned. Trust me, I have a scar to show forever behind roux. So you can see, just keep going. We're still over medium heat. If you take a look at the center of the pan, slightly to the right, you can see a little bit of browning. That's that flour again starting to hit the bottom. I haven't moved. I'm still standing there. Once again, you are in complete control. You have your whisk, you have your spatula or your spoon. Get back in there, and you see it settled because it's thick in the middle. Get back in there and stir. This clip is also sped up. Okay, this is a 10-minute process for this amount of roux, roughly 10 to 12 minutes. So that's why I've sped up some clips, and then some clips I have slowed down, because I want you to see the process from when we started with the very white roux and how we're going to end up at the very deep chocolate colored roux. The smell at this point definitely smells like flour cooking, but it also smells kind of nutty. Here's another big transition here. Whenever I stop stirring for about 30 to 40 seconds, that's what you get. That flour settles, you'll see how thick it gets, and you need to get back in there and keep stirring. As long as you have the heat over about medium low heat, you'll always be in control. It's when you have your heat too high and things start to turn too soon, and sometimes it'll get black way too soon. At that point, it's burned. But as long as you keep your heat low and have the commitment to staying there and stirring and whisking and making sure everything is browning the way it's supposed to. You see that flour at the bottom? The flour just naturally wants to be at the bottom, but as long as you keep moving it around, it's going to brown properly. Another tip that you need to be aware of when you are browning anything, but especially things like this, like roux, you need to use a good pan. Two of the best materials that I like to use for cookware is stainless steel and cast iron, because they're both great conductors of heat. So you're going to have even cooking. And, make sure your cookware isn't bent or dented on the bottom, because that's going to throw everything off too. But that's just a tip you need to be aware of. Now we're in the final stages. of the transitioning of how this roux is just taking on this beautiful color. It's going to keep going. Now, some of the people that I saw in the comment section on our gumbo video, you like your roux a little darker. Some of you like it a little thicker. You can go a little heavier on the roux if you choose to. Okay, so the directions I gave on my recipe is a little bit different because I also knew that okra was coming. So okra is going to give you a silkiness and a thickness. But if you omit the okra, you can always go with a little bit of a heavier roux, like 1 cup or 1.5 cups of oil and flour, brown it, and then you're good to go. So I'm just going to pour the roux. See how the flour, again, just that quick for me, moving from the stove to the bowl, the flour settled to the bottom. So I'm just going to pour it in a bowl, and I'm going to let it cool completely, and then I'm going to cover it and refrigerate it. That's right, I have full intention of using this roux in the pot that I have to make tomorrow. So that's why I'm just going to let it cool down, and then I'm just going to pop it in the fridge, and then it'll be there for me to use. Now, once it's completely cool, this is how it's going to look. The oil is going to come to the top, and the flour is going to settle at the bottom. That's completely natural. Don't panic if you do this ahead of time. So when I'm ready to use it, all I'm going to do is put it in my pot, heat it up a little bit, get it nice and hot over medium-high heat, and then I'm going to go straight in with my onions, bell pepper, and celery, and then push forward with the recipe from there. All right, so just for kicks, I decided to test this okra with this vinegar. A lot of you said it in the comments under the gumbo video. A lot of you said you either fry it with vinegar or you roast it with vinegar in the oven. So I said, why not do it? So I have the 12 ounces of okra, and it's been thawed. It was frozen, so I thawed it out. And then I'm going to put a total of 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar, and I put a tablespoon of olive oil, and I seasoned it up, tossed it together, and I roasted it at a high temperature of 425 degrees for about 30 minutes. And then you'll see what it looks like when it comes out. I already know by reading some of your comments that some of y'all are just going to omit this. You're not going to even try. And it's okay. It's okay. If you want to, you can just use a little bit more roux. You can go with 1.5 cups of roux if you want to. But I just had to give this a try because too many people said it. I'm like, well, maybe something to it. So I put it in the oven. And then when it came out, it was definitely roasted. And it was a little less slimy. I mean, well, a lot less slimy. And it also didn't have a heavy vinegar taste. So you don't have to worry about that vinegar taste getting into your gumbo. I could taste it, but that was only because I know I used it. It wasn't bad at all. So it's definitely a great option. The last helpful tip that I have is how to cool your gumbo. Same thing. We did this with our seafood stock. You cool it down, giving it an ice bath. I have a lady that made a comment, and she said her and her boyfriend were always scared to make gumbo because they were scared that it was going to spoil. Well, if you cool it down properly, it won't spoil. You want to get it down to an internal temperature of 70 degrees, and then you can divide it up, refrigerate it, or freeze it. That way you have it for a later time. What you see here is I took half of the pot that we made in the video, and I just broke it down in 2 halves because it's easier to cool 1 half at a time. And I put it in a clean pot that could actually fit in my sink, and I have 50-50 ice water slush, and I'm just stirring it to bring the temperature down quickly. All right, that's all you have to do. But that's how you save your money. That's how you don't let your money go to waste. You spent all this money and time preparing it. You want to make sure you care for it properly so that you don't allow bacteria to grow. And then, yes, bacteria that grows in soups, stews, and sauces will cause people to be sick. So this inexpensive bath of ice and water can save you a whole lot of heartache in the end. Thank you all so much for joining me. You know I appreciate it when you come cook with me and hang out. Don't forget this recipe and others can be found at gdseasoning.com. And I'll see you all next time.